Hello, you're listening to Things I Think About, a podcast of random thoughts. And right now I'm thinking that there is a place for passion and there is a place for facts. As to why I am randomly thinking that now is, I guess because of this. A pal of mine forwarded a tweet to me. In the tweet is a video focused mainly on two people. On one side is a young black woman dressed in black with glasses, a face mask, and presumably a Black Lives Matter activist based on the tweet. On the other side is a senior African-American male. He is holding up a sign that says DC Black Tours, so I assume that he gives tours in the DC area where he shares insights from a black historical perspective. The young woman is irate, to put it mildly, and disrespectful towards the older gentleman. The older gentleman is calm as he engages her. Towards the end, another gentleman dressed like Frederick Douglass tries to play peacekeeper. Eventually, the young woman leaves in a huff. All the while, the entire exchange is being filmed by multiple onlookers with their iPhone. Listen to the exchange here for yourself, and apologies in advance for some of the language.
Yes!
What you got?
What does that do for them?
What you got? You go out here and tell me the history of the South. You don't even know the history.
Yes, I do. Yes, the fuck I do.
Tell it to me then.
Why are you protecting it? What do you know the history?
Why?
Why?
Who paid for it? Who paid for it? Who paid for the statue? Who paid for it? Who paid for it?
The same person we talking
Who
about.
paid for it?
So why are we fighting?
Who paid for it?
Why are we fighting? You look just like me. It could be your girl.
Who paid
Why
for
you
it?
fighting me?
You are fighting. You are fighting because divide and conquer has
Why
people.
are you fighting me?
I'm not fighting you. I'm actually here on your side.
No, here's the thing. Look, here's the
Step
problem.
out the way.
Any voice that is dissenting, they gonna reject you. Any voice that's gonna object to, they gonna, brother, any voice that see what I'm saying?
Three things stand out to me from that exchange. One, the young woman was being unreasonable. She was passionate about tearing down the statue that the older gentleman was protecting, but could not adequately articulate her view. When confronted with a few basic questions that she was ill-equipped to respond to, she resorts to name-calling and violent gestures that you couldn't see. She discontinues her tirade when it becomes evident that no one is taking her seriously. Second point, the older gentleman spoke calmly. He had a grasp of the facts of the situation and was willing to dialogue rather than just ignore a dissenting opinion. And then third thing I noticed, the young woman was married to passion, but not married to facts. Passion in itself can be positive or negative depending on the matter it's supporting. One can be passionate about equal rights under the law and just as passionate about segregating the races. Passion itself is not wrong. Again, it's not the emotion, but the cause it is supporting. Let me present a few more facts to put this whole incident in context. The statue in question depicts Abraham Lincoln standing over a kneeling black man who is newly freed from slavery. Critics of the statues claim the image communicates the black man's subservience and have called for the statue to be removed. But the idea for the statue started with a formerly enslaved woman who wanted to pay homage to Lincoln after he was assassinated in 1865, according to the National Park Service. Charlotte Scott of Virginia used the first $5 she had earned after being freed from slavery to launch a fundraising campaign. Maria Cole, a member of the African American Civil War Museum's Female Reenactors of Distinction, FREED, program, had this to say about it.
People tend to think of that figure as being servile, but if you second look, you will see something different perhaps. That man is not kneeling on two knees with his head bowed. He is in the act of getting up, and his head is up, not bowed, because he's looking forward to a future of freedom. People have said, well, he's chained to Mr. Lincoln. Closer look, you will see that while there's a shackle on his right hand, he is holding the end of a broken chain, which means he has taken his freedom. He now realizes he's free. So I say leave it, let it stand.
The campaign for the Friedmans Memorial Monument to Abraham Lincoln, as it was to be known, was not the only effort of the time to build a monument to Lincoln. However, as the only one soliciting contributions exclusively from those who had the most direct benefit from Lincoln's act of emancipation, had a special appeal. In other words, that statue was financed by ex-slaves. And this is a statue that that young woman wanted to tear down. One more point I want to make concerning this and the next issue to bubble up in our culture. Actually, it's a question. If you are presented with new information that is verifiably true, will you change your mind? Or will you allow your passion, driven by a desire to be right or virtuous, push you to continue a narrative that is provably wrong? Well, science says that you will double down on your beliefs. Yeah. Listen to this quote from Psychology Today. Our ability to reason did not develop simply to help us find the truth. Instead, reasoning evolved to fulfill fundamentally social functions like cooperating in large groups and communicating with others. This is one of the arguments advanced in The Enigma of Reason, a book by cognitive scientists Hugo Mercer and Dan Sperber. According to their theory of reasoning, reason's primary strengths are justifying beliefs we already believe in and making arguments to convince others. While this kind of reasoning helps us cooperate in a social environment, it does not make us particularly good at truth-seeking. It also makes us fall prey to a number of cognitive biases like confirmation bias, or the tendency to search for information that confirms what we already believe. Their ideas also help explain why politics seems to make us so bad at reasoning. If most of reasoning is for social cohesion instead of truth-seeking, then belonging to a particular political party should distort our reasoning and make us pretty bad at finding the truth. A number of studies document the many ways in which our political party distorts our reasoning. One study found that people who had strong math skills were only good at solving a math problem if the solution to the problem confirmed to their political beliefs. Liberals were only good at solving a math problem, for instance, if the answer to their problem showed that gun control reduced crime. Conservatives were only good at solving this problem if the solution showed that gun control increased crime. Another study found that the higher an individual's IQ, the better they are at coming up with reasons to support a position, but only a position that they already agree with. Belonging to a particular political party can also shape our perception. In one study, researchers were asked to watch a video of protesters. Half of the participants were told the people in the video were protesting the military's "don't ask, don't tell" policy. The other half were told that the people were protesting an abortion clinic. Liberals reported saying the protesters were more violent and disruptive if they were told that they were watching abortion clinic protesters. And the opposite was true for conservatives, even though everyone was watching the same video. Now, when you hear that, you may think, as I did, the answer to resolving political turmoil is simply to have an open, frank discussion on political and social matters. Well, no. Consider a study I came across recently called "Exposure to Opposing Views Can Increase Political Polarization, Evidence from a Large-Scale Field Experiment on Social Media." That study was conducted by several professors of sociology, political science, and statistical science from Duke University, Princeton University, and New York University. The findings were published on, March 19th, 2018, so it's fairly recent. This is the summary of what of what this study discovered. There is mounting concern that social media sites contribute to political polarization by creating echo chambers that insulate people from opposing views about current events. We surveyed a large sample of Democrats and Republicans who visit Twitter at least 3 times each week about a range of social policy issues. 1 week later, we randomly assigned respondents to a treatment condition in which they were offered financial incentives to follow a Twitter bot for 1 month that exposed them to messages produced by elected officials, organizations, and other opinion leaders with opposing political ideologies. Respondents were resurveyed at the end of the month to measure the effect of this treatment and at regular intervals throughout the study period to monitor treatment compliance. We find that Republicans who followed a liberal Twitter bot became substantially more conservative post-treatment, and Democrats who followed a conservative Twitter bot became slightly more liberal post-treatment. Now, anecdotally, I see this is true from the Emancipation Statue controversy I discussed earlier. The young woman would not listen to facts or even entertain something that might oppose her viewpoint. Instead, she doubled down on her beliefs by leaving the conversation entirely. So, all that being said, in the environment we all live in, where everything is political to some degree, how do we pursue peace with our neighbors? Well, I don't have all the answers, but I do have a few suggestions. Suggestion number 1, choose carefully who you debate with. As I pointed out, people who are shown information that goes against their belief system will likely refute it and double down on their personal viewpoint anyway. That being the case, if you are invited or baited into a discussion over politics, only debate political discussions with people who are willing to listen, and likewise, you should be open to what they have to say as well. Establish a rule at the beginning, if possible, that no matter what is said, it will have no bearing on your relationship because your relationship is bigger than politics. That is, if you want to preserve that existing relationship. Suggestion number 2, consider your losses. In some cases, you know where someone else stands in their politics, and all too often that is the opposite side of you. When you are tempted to discuss your political views with them, ask yourself if it is worth the potential loss of friendship. In some cases, it is not. Back in the 90s, the official U.S. policy on military service was don't ask, don't tell. The policy prohibited military personnel from discriminating against or harassing closeted homosexual or bisexual service members or applicants while barring openly gay, lesbian, or bisexual persons from military service. The spirit of that agreement, applied to political discussions, could preserve a lot of family, social, and work relationships. In other words, don't ask me how I feel about Donald Trump, and I won't tell you. Just continue to assume that I believe as you do. Sometimes there is safety in ignorance. Then finally, 3, know your why. When you feel you must debate or defend your political position, have a good understanding of why you believe what you believe and have 3 facts to share, or more, but at least 1 to substantiate your position and reasons why your position benefits not only you, but them as well. In conclusion, some people believe that opposing views should not be heard. That's called cancel culture. In America, we have free speech, and those who seek to drown out free speech they don't like reveal themselves as intolerant bullies demanding their opinions be sacrosanct and all others be damned. From those people, walk away. Leave them to argue with themselves, but place sunlight on the things they say and the actions they commit. Why? Well, bad ideas, over time, perish in the sun. You have been listening to the Things I Think About podcast. If you love what you heard, hate what you heard, or don't know what you just heard, I want to know about it. Drop me an email. I can be reached at Jim Stroud, that's JIMSTROUD @jimstroud.com. So, until next time, bye-bye.